the feints, the foot movement, the way he lands shots. He fights like a boxer. He doesn't fight like a guy who's trying to box in a celebrity boxing match.
Let that sink in.
Jake
That's
Paul,
boxing right
Gervonta Davis is so crazy. 135 versus 200.
That is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference. Almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. It's still a 65-pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Joe Rogan has once again shaken up the combat sports world with his bold prediction ahead of the Jake Paul vs. Gervonta Tank Davis clash. The UFC commentator didn't mince words, claiming that Jake Paul's sheer size and weight advantage could potentially end Tank's career if the two ever meet in the ring. Rogan pointed out that while Gervonta is one of boxing's most explosive punchers, he's simply too small to deal with Jake's power, reach, and overall physical presence.
My opinion is, I just want to say, in case someone calls me into court, I'm an idiot and I don't know nothing. And don't take my advice.
I love the Saudis.
Don't take my opinion.
I love the Israeli government. I love everybody.
That had nothing to do with them. That was Jake Paul promoting it. You know, it's just doesn't bother me.
There's compromising the sport, and that's like bad. It's just like
if I bet on it,
watching it with people who are so in on it, and then also man, the sports betting apps, they introduced like chat apps in them in Australia. So it's like they're trying to take the place of social media companies where you go together and you meet your friends. Like betting should be exciting enough without having a weird.
They're just trying to draw you in. They're just trying to make money, right? So they're trying to draw you in.
Rogan acknowledged that Jake Paul has genuinely improved as a fighter. He noted that if Paul weren't known for his YouTube past, his rise would be considered impressive, given that he knows how to fight, demonstrates solid ring awareness, and doesn't just throw wild punches. Still, Rogan strongly cautioned that a matchup with Gervonta Davis comes with serious danger. He explained that Davis operates on a completely different level in both skill and knockout power, warning that if Paul takes him lightly, it could end very badly.
What do you think of this Jake Paul fella?
I always say that if Jake Paul was not a YouTube star, people just looked at him like an up-and-coming boxer, you would say this kid's got a lot of fucking talent. He's dangerous. I think his strength is that they underestimate him because of what his background was. And they think there's no way that some guy who became famous off of YouTube is going to be an actual legit boxer. If you look at what he's done, he's a very good boxer.
Jake Paul didn't hold back when he declared, "I would destroy him in the ring because of the size." That blunt statement, even though it included a nod of respect for Gervonta Davis's skill and pride, instantly sparked backlash. Critics argued that it undermines the credibility of the matchup, turning it into an act of bravado rather than a true sporting contest. With Paul standing close to 200 pounds as a cruiserweight and Davis competing at around 135 pounds as a lightweight, the massive size difference has fueled concerns that this isn't just a mismatch, it's reckless showmanship.
I'd be down. Let's run it. Like, I'd be super, super down. I don't know if
Gervonta needs Jake Paul. Let's be clear, right?
Is there a height limit in boxing?
For Tank, there's no way that this goes well for Tank Davis. Because if he wins, they go, oh yeah, world champion. Of course you were supposed to beat that YouTuber. If he struggles but wins, they go, ooh, Tank is washed. He struggled against Jake Paul. He still won, but he had a hard time. And then, of course, if he loses to Jake Paul. And him and boxing lose their credibility.
Rogan's remarks surfaced alongside several major announcements. The bout, now set for November 14, 2025, at the Casia Center in Miami, will be a 10-round exhibition streamed live on Netflix. The catchweight is reportedly 195 pounds, marking a huge jump from Davis's usual lightweight limit of around 135 pounds, and even above Paul's most recent cruiserweight bouts.
My point still stands where it stands. Jake Paul wins this fight. I already bet Gervonta Davis in the DMs. We locked the bet. Guys, it's obvious Jake wins this fight. If you guys know anything about fighting, you know about weight classes. You know that Jake's been training for actual years. He's been locked in.
Oh my days. Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. Is this real? This can't be real. Because he was talking about fighting Joshua, which is heavyweight. And now he's saying about fighting Tank. Nah, this can't be. Netflix as well. I need to go and do some checks and see if like the main pages have posted this, but Jake Paul's posted it. It says Friday, November 14th. It's in Atlanta, State Farm Arena. This is random, no?
Beyond Rogan, several boxing professionals and analysts have shared their thoughts on the matchup, and their views reflect a mix of concern, caution, and, in some cases, outright skepticism about the fight's legitimacy and safety.
Oh! Jake Paul is fighting Gervonta Tank Davis. Chilaquiles. Chilaquiles.
Musty energy. Musty energy. Musty energy. Musty energy.
Oh, it's musty, and I say that respectfully. Per Mike Hoppinger in the Ring magazine, Gervonta Tank Davis, freshly off his domestic violence charges being dropped, will get into the ring with Jake Paul in Atlanta with a proposed date of November 15th. Lord child. Get your hand out of my pocket. Tank weighs about 135. Jake Paul weighs about 200-some pounds. So obviously this will be at a catch weight, and this possibly will not be a sanctioned fight where it will count on anybody's records. But I'm gonna tell y'all like this. Tank fans, you niggas down bad.
The hatred.
Musty energy.
You niggas is down bad. Tank basically on the back half of his career, according to my brother Nestor Gibbs from the Boxing Voice. This man, Gervonta Tank Davis, said, I am not fighting no Shakur Stevenson. The man said, I'm not even going to rematch Lamont Sanat. The man just said, I'm not even thinking about fighting Dev Dollars, Devin the Dream, Debo Haney. I am going directly into Jake Paul. I've been told you that Tank was the black Jake Paul. Tank been the black Jake Paul. Man ain't care about legacy. Man ain't care about none of that, bro. Tank fans, you niggas down bad. Protect your fighter. It is musty at the highest level. And poor Lamont Sanat, it might be over for Lamont Sanat. He got to fight somebody. You might need to fight Gary Russell Jr. right now. Tank Davis, Lord Child, Jake Paul, boxing down bad. This about to make a lot of money. The only plus in this is that Alicia Baumgardner, aka Bomb Amy, might be on this card. I would love to see Alicia Baumgardner back on Netflix. That is a plus, and my man Lucas Body might get on there as well, and Avius Griffin. So it might be a movie as far as the undercard. Tank Davis, you down bad, bro. Boxing is absolutely disgusting and musty at the highest level. Get it together. Tank is a 30-plus-year-old prospect at the back end of his career. He on his Mayweather McGregor at the age of 30. Lord child.
Davis's head trainer, Calvin Ford, acknowledged that the fight carries risks due to the size difference and overall logistics, but stated confidently, "We signed the contract, we're going to make it do what it do." Rather than focusing on body size, Ford emphasized the importance of glove size. Both teams are reportedly negotiating whether lighter or heavier gloves will be used. Ford noted that Davis typically fights with 8-ounce gloves and suggested a compromise Paul could wear 10-ounce gloves while Davis sticks with 8-ounce to help level the playing field.
My only concern is, the gloves. You understand what I'm saying? Because we don't fight in 12-ounce gloves. We don't use 12-ounce gloves. That's training gloves, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's 2 pounds away from Jake. He fights in 10s. Tank fighting 8s, so he losing 4 ounces. So my thing is, I said, if they put Tank in 8s, put him in 10s. That makes the fight more interesting. You know what I'm saying? And we'll go from there, because I understand. And I brought that question up to one of his handlers. They was, no, we don't want to do no mixed match. It's supposed to be expedition. What, now y'all want the wins and the loss. You know what I'm saying? All these prescriptions, but you want to be great. Being great is really pushing the envelope. You know what I'm saying? Tank don't really care, So when I brought this up, he said, dang, facts. You know what I'm saying? So again, he can weigh the 10s and we weigh the 8s. Then we got to fight.
Ford explained that the team had originally been preparing for a rematch with Lamont Roach Jr., but when the opportunity to face Jake Paul appeared, they saw it as a blessing they couldn't pass up. He admitted that the Roach rematch made more sense from a purely sporting perspective, yet the Paul fight offered far greater exposure and financial reward. Ford defended the decision by stressing that Gervonta Davis has earned the right to pursue big opportunities, and sometimes, a fighter has to walk through the bigger door when it opens, even if it's not the most traditional competitive route. However, the proposed fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis has faced significant regulatory pushback. The Georgia Athletic and Entertainment Commission refused to sanction the bout in Atlanta, citing the extreme weight difference between the two fighters. The commission's chairman, Rick Thompson, was especially harsh, calling the event the dumbest thing I've ever heard and dismissing it as a blatant money grab. When Paul's team requested a weight class waiver, the commission rejected it, arguing that a mismatch of this magnitude posed serious safety risks. Consequently, the fight was relocated to Miami.
USA Today, the chairman of the Georgia Athletic and Entertainment Commission, the commission that is going to be voting whether or not to approve Tank Davis and Jake Paul. His name is Rick Thompson. He had some very choice words for Jake and Tank fighting. He says it's the dumbest ish he's ever heard. It's a money grabber, and he's not okay with that. And he doesn't like the arrogance of Tank Davis and Jake Paul announcing their fight, marketing their fight, having press conferences and shit before the commission can vote whether or not they're going to approve the fight. He calls it arrogance. Their concerns, obviously, the weight discrepancy between the two. In the state of Georgia, two competitors cannot outweigh each other by more than 9 pounds. Tank and Jake Paul's team have already submitted a rule waiver request to get that rule waived. And Rick Thompson also said in this article that he is expecting the committee to put it to a vote as to whether or not they're going to approve this fight on September the 18th when they're meeting again. Also, we got some insight that USA Today tried to reach out to other members of the committee, and all of them declined to comment on what's going on. But what I do know is that the Georgia Athletic and Entertainment Commission, it's a 5-person panel that's going to be voting on this Tank Davis, Jake Paul shit.
Meanwhile, former world champion Amir Khan also weighed in, calling the fight disgusting and voicing concern that such exhibition bouts, especially with major mismatches, could lead to serious injury or damage the sport's credibility. He stressed that weight classes and proper sanctioning exist for a reason, emphasizing that ignoring them undermines boxing's core principles. Khan went on to suggest that by taking a fight like this instead of facing another top-tier opponent, Gervonta Davis risks making the sport look like a spectacle rather than a test of skill. In his view, Davis may be chasing money and attention over legacy and competition. While Khan acknowledged Davis's elite talent, he argued that stepping into the ring under such uneven conditions raises real concerns about fighter safety and the sport's integrity. Overall, Khan's message was firm: this isn't the kind of fight a serious champion should be taking.
There's a few boxers out there who are frowning at Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis fighting in an exhibition bout. You know, they can frown, but one fighter has been more vocal than the rest, and that's Amir Khan. The thing with Amir Khan, you know he's always been about his Wu-Tang cream, dollar bill, y'all. Now he's mad because Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul figured out a way to rob the bank, like Mayweather and Conor McGregor did. Amir Khan out here talking about, someone's gonna get hurt. This needs to stop. That's why people respect MMA so much. You don't see these fools trying to go over to MMA and do what they do in boxing. There needs to be some kind of control, he pulled a Eubank Senior parliamentary procedure. I'm like, what the fuck? Anyway, if Amir Khan had an opportunity to fight Jake Paul, all it is, hey guys, let's do the right thing and stop this social media nonsense. All fighters should stick to fighting, whether boxing or MMA. We shouldn't be crossing over, doing this misfit shit, fighting YouTubers or fighting Jake Paul.
On this fight, a really bad mismatch. And you know what? Whoever the promoter is and that's agreed Gervonta to fight, and whoever the promoter is to fight for Jake Paul to say fight this little man. I mean, that's wrong, man. I mean, that's just like torturing someone. I mean, going in there and hurting someone is just not fair on Davis. But like, say you don't know what position Davis is in. I heard that he's been having a lot of legal problems and been arrested a couple of times for a couple of felonies and stuff I've seen with his ex-wife and stuff. So you know what? You know what's going through his head. Maybe he just wants to cash up and walk away from the sport. And maybe this is a great opportunity for him where he's seen this fight come up and he's like, fuck it, I'll take it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think they're making boxing a joke, really. Yeah. One day someone's going to end up getting hurt so badly, then it's going to definitely destroy the sport.
Meanwhile, Shakur Stevenson didn't hold back when discussing the planned bout between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul, calling it a terrible idea due to the massive size difference between the two fighters. He argued that Davis should be pursuing a legitimate boxing challenge, not stepping into an exhibition that, in his view, undermines the integrity of the sport. Stevenson stressed that Davis could earn greater respect and legacy by avoiding the spectacle and instead facing a true elite opponent, suggesting that a unification fight would be far more meaningful. In essence, Stevenson positioned himself as the rightful boxing challenger for Davis, framing the Jake Paul bout as nothing more than a money-driven stunt rather than a genuine test of skill.
Yeah, I understand. What do you think about the rumors of Tank and Jake fighting?
Man, Tank disrespectful to the sport if he choose that over fighting with me. I'm the best fighter in the sport. I've been telling him that, and he called cap on it. So if you gonna call cap and say I'm not who I say I am, come prove it.
Maybe he'll fight Jake Paul instead. What do you think of that?
I think that's terrible.
Why?
I mean, I get it, because at the end of the day, it's the money business, and you want to make the most money, but from what I'm hearing, he can make more money in a fight with me, and if that's the case, why not fight me?
Sure. Do you think he beats Jake Paul?
Do I think he beats Jake? Yeah. I mean,
there's a huge size advantage, though.
It is, but I think Tank got the skills to make sure he come out on top.
Do you think that Jake has gone better?
Yeah, I think actually Jake got tremendously better from the time frame that he started till now. And in the right situation, I also could see him become a world champion.
Really?
KSI has openly criticized Jake Paul over his planned fight with Gervonta Davis, calling the matchup a disgrace to boxing. He voiced disappointment in Paul's choice of opponents, accusing him of dodging a fight with KSI and instead choosing easier challenges. KSI's remarks reflect his ongoing frustration with Paul's approach to the sport and his continued push for a legitimate showdown between the two rivals.
I mean, look, with Jake, the guy's been ducking me or running away from me for so long, man. Like, he's just making excuse after excuse, and now he wants to fight Tank. I mean, it just says the type of guy Jake Paul is. He only fights someone if he has a major advantage. Anything that's close, or anything that could actually be a decent fight, he runs away from it. So.
Teofimo Lopez described the Jake Paul vs Gervonta Davis matchup not as a fight for titles or pride, but as a showcase fueled by spectacle and profit rather than legacy or rankings. He noted that there's no shame in that, as both fighters stand to earn massive paydays while guaranteeing mainstream attention. While the bout may lack the prestige of a championship fight, Lopez believes it still holds value by drawing in new audiences and creating excitement around the sport. Even as an exhibition, he argued, such events can help spotlight boxing, expand its reach, and remind people just how big the sport can be when personalities, drama, and showmanship all come together.
Happy for Gervonta and Jake. I really am, man. It's good for the sport in some way, you know?
So a heavyweight versus a lightweight.
Yeah.
You gotta fly hit me, yeah. A heavyweight versus a lightweight. How's this gonna work?
Hey, they make it work. It's an exhibition for a reason. So, you know, they know what they're doing. And, you know, shout out to Netflix and shout out to both of them, honestly. Like I said, I think a lot of people in the boxing world are kind of upset. I could care less. I think they're going to go out there and make their money. It falls on the number 8 for a reason. They're going to make a lot of money.
Have you got a prediction for that fight?
My prediction? A show.
Well, clearly it's a show, but when you've got a lot of people underestimating Jake Paul once again, but when you've got a heavyweight boxer who knows how to throw punches and knows the basics against a lightweight, it's quite a difference. I mean, have you sparred heavyweights before?
Yeah.
For competitive sparring in the ring?
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same, not at all. Definitely got to move. I've actually played around a few times, went through between their legs just to duck around. But yeah, because they're taller. You know?
Despite repeatedly warning about the massive size gap between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis, Joe Rogan has made it clear that Tank's talent should never be underestimated. On his podcast, Rogan praised Davis as one of the most explosive punchers in boxing, highlighting his elite timing, precision, and ring IQ qualities few fighters possess. Rogan cautioned Jake Paul and his team not to assume that size alone guarantees victory, stressing that Davis has fight-changing knockout power, even against much larger opponents. He concluded that while Jake's physical advantages are undeniable, Tank's technical skill, experience, and composure make him far too dangerous to overlook in any circumstance.
Gervonta Davis is like that. Their technique's so dialed in that when you watch them uncork, it's like, oh my God, the efficiency of it. A giant fan of the guy. I just loved, as a person who like really enjoyed technique, I like watching someone who's exceptional at it. I always admired guys who were able to find like the shortest path connecting with a shot, where it's just like the technique is so dialed in. You know, there's guys that...
Do you agree with Joe Rogan's assessment, or do you believe Gervonta "Tank" Davis will once again silence the doubters with his power and skill? Drop your predictions in the comments below. Who do you think comes out on top?